Today, we're going to take a look at another bewildering chapter in the Biden administration's America Last Handbook. Imagine a world where breaking the rules gets you first in line for benefits that others worked decades to achieve. Well, guess what? Under Joe Biden's watch, that world is now a reality. Biden just added another insult to American citizenship. He has his administration threatening banks to give loans to illegal aliens of all things. This will absolutely end in disaster, but not just for the banks, but for all of us. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So the Biden administration is now strong-arming banks into rolling out the red carpet for illegal aliens, pushing them to offer credit lines and loans. This might give you a sense of deja vu. It should. The Democrats have played this game before, coercing banks into handing out mortgages like candy at a parade, even to those who clearly couldn't afford them. And what was the outcome? Oh, just a minor inconvenience known as the housing bubble. Yeah, what they did was, back in the 1960s, a woman by the name of Gail Sincata out of Chicago, I believe her organization was called the National People's Way. I could be wrong, but it's been a long time since I read it. But what she did is she was a community organizer, a troublemaker like Barack Obama. And they probably knew each other, as a matter of fact. Well, she commissioned a phony redlining study. And I say phony because they didn't take into account the person's credit rating. They didn't take into account if the person had any money in the bank, past loan performance, whether they had a friggin' job, how many people lived in the house. No, the only criteria they used was race. Okay? So there were neighborhoods in Chicago that were very poor and minority owned. Okay? And so the people in those neighborhoods could not afford a house. They would never pass the mortgage application. So what she did is she did this redlining study. It made a lot of hay. And then two leftist Democrats at the time, William Proxmire was a total progressive before progressivism was progressivism. And then the other one was Ted Era, why couldn't the bitch hold her breath, Kennedy. And so what they did is they created the Community Reinvestment Act that Jimmy Carter, that Democratic prank known as President Jimmy Carter, that he signed into law. And what that did, among all the other shit, was it allowed community organizers to turn into thugs and to threaten banks to give out bad loans. Okay, or they'd call them racist and they get sued. Well, when Bill Clinton, 30 years later, comes to town, what he does is he puts into his administration, he makes their scam federal. He federalized it. And he said that you have quota systems now, that if you have to get a certain amount of bad loans, well, we're going to hit you up for violating our rules here. And he used to go around and give speeches about, like, bragging about how many banks he was suing because they wouldn't do it. They were like, no, we're going to put ourselves out of business. And so they did this, 30 years, and then Clinton's quotas really exacerbated the problem. So by the time he's out of office, now Bush is in office, and in 2008, actually in 2006, Bush tried to stop it. He went to the Democrat-controlled Congress and said, I'd like to get a new regulatory agency on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And they told him, go fuck a rock, because there's nothing wrong with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Well, 2 years later, the housing market collapsed when they kept saying there's nothing wrong with the housing market. And they blamed Bush. Of course they did. And so that's where we were with that and the whole 2008 economic crash that collapsed our system. Well, guess what? The Biden administration wants to do it again, only this time with forcing banks to give loans to people they know are not going to pay it back, illegal aliens. Thanks to this financial Russian roulette, home prices didn't just inch up, they skyrocketed. It's why an average shithole today costs about $350,000 throughout most of the country. But why learn from history when you can repeat it, right? Now, with the wisdom of a goldfish, they're doing it again. This time, it's not just about pushing financial fantasies. It's about doing so for individuals who bypassed the line, the law, and our system to enter the country. In their latest financial fairy tale, the CFPB and DOJ are essentially telling banks, folks, you've got to lend money to people regardless of their immigration status. That's right. You heard that right. Citizenship, legal residency, compliance with the nation's laws. Minor details. Fair access to credit is crucially important for building wealth and strengthening household financial stability, says CFPB Director Rohit Chopra. Hope I murdered that name. Clearly more concerned about the financial stability of non-citizens than the potential instability their policies could inject into our financial system. And then there's Kristen Clark of the DOJ warning our banks, our American institutions, that not lending to illegal aliens might be illegal. The irony would be hilarious if it weren't so dangerously irresponsible. They're telling banks that if they don't give out loans and lines of credit to people who can't pass a mortgage application, a loan application, or a line of credit application, that they're breaking the law. Are you kidding me? Clark said lenders should not deny people the opportunity to take out a loan to buy a home, build their businesses, or otherwise pursue their financial goals because of unlawful bias and without regard to their actual ability to repay. Are you freaking kidding me? So she's saying that people who don't belong here and broke the law to get here, that they should have the opportunity to buy a home, to build a business, and pursue their financial goals. And she calls it unlawful bias. It's unlawful because they made it unlawful. What should be unlawful is the government forcing banks that these politicians don't have any risks. The banks do. But forcing the banks to give loans to illegal aliens. Are you kidding me? She says, this guidance reminds lenders that denying someone access to credit based solely on their actual or perceived immigrant status may violate federal law. This isn't just financial folly. It's a slap in the face to every law-abiding citizen and legal immigrant. Under the Biden administration, citizenship is devalued. It's rendered almost a liability rather than a privilege that it has been since the beginning. And when these loans turn south, who do you think will foot the bill? Here's a hint. It won't be the banks or the government officials themselves. No, they'll pass the buck to the average American taxpayer like they do every other fuck up that they have. Because in this administration, why handle the consequences when you could just hand them off? So there you have it. As we brace for this potential economic disaster, one thing is painfully clear. The current administration is less concerned with the American dream and more invested in fantasies that could lead to an American nightmare. All right, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and share our videos with like-minded friends. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.
1, 2, 3, your attention's all I need. 4, 5, 6, don't let it slip. I don't have any favorite. Just give me any